Hello, creative, and welcome back to the Empowered Creatives Podcast, finding confidence between hustle and burnout. I'm your host, Victoria Hines, creative career coach, helping creatives just like you level up or find your next path in your career. Before I dive into the topic today, I just now thought about this, but this podcast, we talk about burnout a lot, and I've never mentioned this, but this topic is very near and dear to my heart because I'm highly prone to burnout. And I've known that about me for a long time. It tends to happen a lot. And finally, the other day for my day job, I was diving back into 16 Personalities, which this is not a promo for them. I'm in no way affiliated, but I was diving back into and I'm an advocate, or an INFJ-A. And it was really funny to go back through my bio, not only because they've updated things, but new things jumped out to me about my personality and about who I am. And one of those things was that I am highly prone to burnout. So it's no wonder that this is a topic that I love discussing, that I love to talk to experts about, because it is sort of, how do we hack our way from falling into that burnout trap? Because it is so incredibly easy to fall into. One of those ways I think that we are able to avoid burnout actually is continuing to stay inspired. And part of staying inspired comes from connection, interacting, and meeting new people. Now, for any introverts out there, you might cringe when I say this or say this word, but I actually want to start this podcast episode out asking you, what comes to mind when I say the word networking? Some people will say fear. Maybe it makes you want to hide and run the other direction. Some people will feel really excited. Maybe it's a chance to learn. Maybe you think about relationships, or it feels dangerous, like you might open yourself up to meeting the wrong people or getting scammed. Some people are just really realistic, and it's like, hey, it's just talking to people. I remember when I went into theater school in college, and very quickly on, we were told that we needed to network. Now, because I was in theater school, and it just so happens the school I was at, networking was somehow equated with going to parties, hanging out with the cool kids, trying to be a part of the cool clique and do all the cool things, becoming one of the professor's favorites. And in hindsight, all of these were very unhealthy ideas about what networking actually is. Now, I'm not saying that you can't network at parties. I'm not saying that, for all of you extroverts out there who love meeting people and who can just go. I think that can be a really excellent way to meet people. I remember meeting a really big playwright in Chicago at a random party I went to, and was super intimidated to even have a conversation with him, but that does happen. But I'm a semi-extrovert, but I'm also an introvert, and putting yourself out there in that way in an environment that's so hypercharged can be exhausting, to say the least. And now that I have a lot of space from my college days, networking to me isn't as scary or fearful or as vomit-inducing as it used to be. Networking is just building relationships. That's all it is. And you get to build relationships in the way that works best for you. And in all honesty, in the days of the internet, there are so many ways to do this. So this episode, we are going to talk about the art of building relationships. Finding that right balance in your career is incredibly difficult as a creative. If you are lacking time, energy, or money to do the thing that you love, it might be time to figure out what needs to change. If you have no idea where to start, I encourage you to grab my free Creative Career Audit. This worksheet will walk you through a process to help you identify what's bringing you joy in your work and what really needs to go. You can head to my website at www.victoriahines.com or grab the direct link in the show notes below. Alrighty, back to the show. Hello, creative, and we are back. So, part of the art of building relationships is knowing how to network. So, here are 5 keys to network, aka building relationships. So, my tip number 1 is lead with curiosity. Other people have incredible stories, and it could be really intimidating, or especially if you're an introvert out there. One of the quickest ways to kind of get past that anxiety is to make it about the other person. Even maybe challenging yourself of, hey, can I go into a relationship building event and I don't give them the chance to ask them a single question about me? Can I constantly ask questions about the other person? What's beautiful is when you lead with curiosity, people can instantly gravitate towards you. It's very flattering to have a platform, a podium to share things about yourself, to get to light up about what you do or share the knowledge that you have. By leading with curiosity and going into any event or situation by asking questions, you open up the platform to discover so much more about a person and have the opportunity to create a deeper connection. Tip number 2. Everyone is not for you. There are 7.2 billion people on this planet. There are actually also studies that have been done that human beings, we really have not evolved from our older versions of ourselves. And I think I'm going to misquote the number, but we really only are, our brains are at the level to where we can know anywhere from like 120 to 180 people. I'm definitely making up that number. It's somewhere between that range. But regardless to say, you do not need to be friends with the 7.2 billion people on this planet. You don't need that many people in your life. You don't need that many connections. And in fact, you don't need, 10,000 connections on LinkedIn or Facebook. Gone are the days where, we count things by numbers. The quality of your connections matters a whole lot more than the quantity, even though social media would often have us thinking otherwise. So, if everyone is not for you, don't be afraid to say no. If somebody rubs you the wrong way, you don't think that working with this person, or you don't trust this person, trust your gut instincts. You don't need to placate in that situation. Just say no, walk away. Look for the people who you have similar values with and the people that you mesh with and instantly connect to. Those are the people that you want to start building relationships with. Tip number 3 about building relationships. Weak ties and strong ties are both important. Now you might be saying, Victoria, what in the world is that? I'm going to tell you. Don't worry. So weak ties these are acquaintances, social media followers, someone you met at a conference, attended a workshop with, works in the same company as you, but you've never worked together. Weak ties are the people that you maybe know their name, maybe know what they do, and that might be about it. These are the people that you don't know super well. It could even be a friend of a friend or somebody who recommended you to somebody else. But these weak ties can be incredibly powerful because they connect you to a very, very broad network. So when you are looking for a job, you're looking for a collaborative partner, you're looking to hire someone, you're looking for advice or informational interviews, leaning on those weak ties can be very beneficial. On the flip side, strong ties are going to be the people that you have very deep relationships with. These are your friends. These are your close collaborators. These are your family and business partners. These are the people who you probably know exactly how they drive you up the wall and back down again. Strong ties are important because these are the people that you're going to be able to have very meaningful conversations with that are going to move you forward in your life. They also can connect you to a network as well, but most of us are not going to have a ton of people in our life who we have strong ties with. It's actually more likely that we're going to have a larger number of weak ties and a smaller number of strong ties. These are our close confidants that we keep near and dear to us. So having both that broader network that's a little bit more shallow but very wide, and as well as that deep and narrow network can be incredibly important. And we all need both. Tip number 4, building relationships is about giving and receiving. Whenever you are building a relationship with somebody, there are 2 very important questions to ask. How will they add value to you? And how can you add value to them? It is both a give and take. When you start networking with individuals or building relationships with people who you don't know how you can add value to their lives or their businesses or their craft, and if you're not sure how they're going to add value to yours, that's probably a person that you, at this point in your life, shouldn't be spending as much time with. Maybe this is an instance where you get their name, you get their contact information, maybe you friend them on social media, and that's it. Move on to the next person. I also recommend, and this goes under the giving and receiving section, of connecting with people who are both one step ahead and one step behind you. This is kind of the self-recognition of you can both be a mentor and mentee, and there is value in both. Connecting with people who are one step ahead of you, not 20, but one step ahead of you, means that they have wisdom and insight that they can share with you to help you get to the next step in your career, in your craft, or towards your goals. Connecting with people who are one step behind you is going to boost your confidence because you're going to be able to celebrate how far you've come, recognize that you are ahead of some other people, and it's also can fill you up with joy to be able to share your wisdom. You are now an expert in somebody else's eyes, and that confidence can be hugely rewarding, especially if you're putting yourself in some uncomfortable situations like networking. All right, my 5th tip for you today. The number one most important thing to remember when you are going out and building relationships, going to events, even just hopping online to connect with other people is intention. Have an intention behind your outreach. Know what you want from the other person and know what you can give to them. We are not all in the same elementary school class where we are forced to spend, 6 times 5, so 30 hours a week together. This is not the same situation. Adulthood doesn't work that way. So know why you are wanting to connect with them, or know how you are able to add value when you are approaching them. Lost is not helpful. It can feel like a waste of time. So being very direct and being intentional about your connections and what you can give or take or give and receive can be exponentially helpful. I am way more likely to respond to an Instagram message where somebody's super direct and asks me a very direct, clear question, rather than, and we all know it, the ones where it's super broad and they're just spamming me a little bit and they just want generic information and they're making a generic offer, and then I'm left with 10,000 questions and I don't know this person and I don't want to spend time trying to figure out what in the world they're actually after. Nobody does. So, 5th tip, most important thing is your intention and setting an intention behind building relationships. Know what you need, know what you can give. All right, here's your one thing this week. Who in your current network, or maybe it's somebody on social media, who is one step ahead of you? I want you to send them a message on social media, any platform of your choice, and ask them a very specific question around something that you would love to know. Maybe it's something you admire about them. Maybe it's something they recently posted about. Maybe it's a project, something they do very well. And just ask a question. On the flip side, who's one step behind you? I want you to send them a message, cheering them on, or asking them to connect. Send them a like, send them a little warm fuzzies because they could use your accolades. All right, if you're enjoying the Empowered Creatives podcast, please do subscribe, rate, review. It's the #1 way for this podcast to succeed and get, a boost in the ratings with Apple Podcasts. Until next week, though, stay creative.